That's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this DGen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about a permanent loss.
But really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so where you can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Welcome to the DGen Roundtable. I'm your host, Mr. Bean. Not Mr. Bean, but I'm your host nonetheless. Here with Will Stevenson. Welcome to the DGen Roundtable, your go-to show for the wild world of cryptocurrency and economic markets. Join us as we dive into the latest news, unpack market moves, maybe talk a little bit about Richard Hart, and share unfiltered takes on where this crazy ride is headed. Buckle up, DGens. Let's talk money memes, macro markets, and everything in between. Will, happy Sunday, brother. How you doing?
Happy Sunday. That's a good monologue, bro. I like it. That is excellent. I'm doing just fine. I've crossed over from the warm part of the States into the cold part of the States. And let me tell you, it is a whoa, where the fuck is man? I don't know where I'm going right now. Because I made a mistake while driving just a minute ago. And it's totally rerouted me, and it seems to be taking me in a different place than I thought that I was going. So, I don't know. It's all a surprise. I'm figuring it out. I'm on my way over to New Jersey right now, but for like the last week I was in Arkansas, and it's been like 70-degree weather, like fucking 60-degree weather, wearing, shorts and a t-shirt, and now I'm in Pennsylvania, and I got outside and there was snow on the ground, and I'm sitting here in like shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops and stuff, and yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. So I've crossed over the Great Divide in I guess the Appalachians or something, but yeah, it's good, man. It's good. How are you? What's new and exciting with you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody out there. I was traveling a bit, so last weekend I was in Massachusetts visiting some friends and some family. And then I was out in Missouri with family and my wife for Christmas. So I was there Monday to Friday this week, and that was nice. Spend time with family, nieces and nephews, whole 9 yards. And yeah, I've been back this weekend. Went for a good hike at the State Arboretum yesterday. Got outside, touched grass. And yeah, man, things are good. Football, my New England Patriots, they are officially division champs. So last year they were 3 wins, and this year they have 13 wins with 1 game to go. So huge turnaround. And for all those of you who like sports, always good to see your team doing well. But other than that, man, I'm just excited to dive into the topics, to see who's listening and watching out there. And maybe talk a little Richard Hart. I mean, I think that Christmas video was pretty interesting and a little bit different, I think, than previous videos from him. But you are driving, so I doubt you're sipping on anything.
I'm not sipping on anything as of now. I got a bubbly sparkling water to stay hydrated, and I do have some caffeine as well. I've got about, I think, 2.5 hours left on my driggity drive. So,
I will tell you something that that was not very good that happened to us
Ooh.
this week. So great trip, came home, had dinner with Brenda's brother on Friday, got home really late, get home about midnight, go to fill up my water bottle with some ice and some water, and there's no ice. And I'm like, why is there no ice in my freezer? And then I'm like, why is there no ice in my refrigerator? Because the ice is attached to the refrigerator portion of my refrigerator.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I'm like, oh no. And then I open it's like all the ice had melted in the fridge, and I'm like, that's not a good sign. Did I leave the door open? I don't think the door was open. And then I'm like, everything seems a bit warmer than it should for a refrigerator. And then I open the freezer, and everything is defrosted in the freezer as well. So we get home, and our refrigerator, the place we're renting is 3 years old. Refrigerator is literally only 3 years old. Everything was brand new. So I think the compressor went while we were gone. And I was like, what's that smell? Get to the house. What's that smell? And so the refrigerator died, and that's no bueno. So we lost all the food that we had, all the food in the fridge, all the food in the freezer. And so on Tuesday, I'm going to have to clean out the entire thing. Waiting till then, trying not to open any doors because I don't want it sitting in like my garage in the trash. So I'm going to try to wait till Tuesday, put it in the trash, and put it out to the sidewalk for the trash to be taken away. But man, that was not a good way to come back to the house. At least nothing worse than the refrigerator going, but hopefully it's under warranty. If it's under warranty, you'll probably actually reimburse us for the food loss. A lot of refrigerators, compressors, if it is a compressor, usually are under warranty for 5+ years. So we shall see. I've never had a refrigerator die on me in my adult life. So that was an unexpected occurrence and not fun.
I've never had come to think of it, I've never had a refrigerator die on me either. That's something like I've unplugged refrigerators, and I've ruined them by jostling them about, moving from job site to job site, but I have never had one just die on me during normal operations. So that's unique. One thing I would recommend, because there's probably going to be some sort of smell associated with this process, is buying an ozone machine on Amazon.
Okay.
Those things are fantastic, because what it does, all smells come from basically carbon-based molecules.
Yep.
And some other such things. And what ozone is ozone is O3. So it's like normal oxygen is O2 because oxygen has 2 bonds on it. So one oxygen connects to another oxygen. Well, with O3, you've got 3 oxygens in one molecule. So it's basically like a triangle. You've got the one up here, the one up here, the one up here, and it's super unstable. And so what happens is when you spread ozone into a room, all the oxygen molecules are all they're just ready to explode. Not explode, but they're ready to rip themselves apart and attach to the nearest carbon and the nearest hydrogen as quick as possible. And so it basically just rips apart food molecules. It rips apart scent molecules, anything that has any sort of smell whatsoever, or is any sort of life or carbon-based molecule. It will basically take it apart at the molecular level on the surface of whatever the thing is. So if you've got a car that smells, if you have a house that smells, if you have any sort of scent anywhere that you want to get rid of, then you just run an ozone machine in there for a while and let it air out, and then you're good. Ozone is kind of dangerous for that reason, because it rips apart alive molecules. If you breathe in a ton of it, then it can do damage to your body. But if you catch a whiff of it, you'll be like, oh my God, and you'll start coughing, and you physically won't be able to breathe it because your body will reject it. But it's one of the best things that I ever learned as far as getting rid of any sort of scent anywhere. I have a little tiny ozone machine that I keep with me in my car everywhere that I go. It's just a little USB-C thing. You just plug it in, and it generates ozone by electrifying the air somehow or something along those lines. So ozone, you can create ozone using a little ozone machine. It just sucks in the air, turns it into ozone, and makes all the scents disappear. So that's fun. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Obviously, I did pick up that it can be dangerous. So probably if people are going to do that, leave the house and then air it out once you're done before you get back in there long term. Personally, I don't know if you know this, but I actually use Febreze. Febreze, most things that you spray around your house just mask odors, but
Yep.
Febreze actually uses cyclodextrin molecules, and those are these sort of donut-shaped sugar structures to trap, and they kind of get rid of odor molecules. So fun fact, when Febreze first launched, it was odorless, and it was a crazy breakthrough of technology, because you could literally spray it in a car that is full of trash and no one would even know that it's there. But the problem is they couldn't sell it because they didn't have like a tick. They didn't have something that hit your brain with, wow, I like this. So long story short, do you know how Febreze started to get popular?
I have no idea. They put lemon in it or something?
Well, they started a marketing campaign where they added a scent that was pleasant, and then they said, when you're done making your bed every morning, put a light, fresh spray of Febreze to finish off, your bed making process, and it kind of just was not at all what it was really meant to be used for, but it got into sort of those Susie homemakers and like, oh, this is a really nice scent way to finish off my cleaning, finish off making my bed, finish off cleaning my kitchen. And it gives this nice little scent that makes it feel like I accomplished something, and it gives me, a pleasure.
Yeah.
And so even though it actually, it doesn't just mask odors, it actually removes odors. But a lot of people don't know that because they just use it for a spray to what they think masks odors. But if that doesn't work well, then I might look into an ozone machine. But I've always had really good luck, as long as, again, you get rid of what was smelling to begin with, and then use it. Generally, I've had really good luck. So we shall see. But interesting topic.
It sounds like they're very, very similar in concept anyways. They're like the same sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I know that ozone will dry things out. So like if you leave food out and you run the ozone machine, like the top layer of it will be like all crusty and gross or something like that.
I don't exactly know the full science behind Febreze. But if you have ever read the book, The Power of Habit, they actually go through the entire process of how Febreze almost failed and then got popular because they made people work it into their daily habits. And by getting people to work it into their daily habits, it became routine and it became a huge success.
That's awesome. I like that. But the folks at home didn't come here to listen to us talk about Febreze and ozone. Although, hey, maybe you guys learned something today, so that's pretty cool. You were about to say something before I interjected there, Brendan. So
I was gonna say I think it's about time for.
Oh, yes. Hang on. For some reason I left the chat motherfucking shoutouts up on the dashboard. It's time for chat motherfucking shoutouts, ladies and germs. The best part of the show. Everyone's favorite part of the show.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We know that your time is very valuable. The first slot up today, we have Slide 1807. Mr. Josh, I see a cheers. So cheers to you too, sir. I'm still on my Advent whiskey calendar because I couldn't drink them all. I haven't even been here the last 2 weeks pretty much. So today I am currently sipping on a single malt Scotch whiskey from Telebardine, and it's an 8-year-old Scotch, and it's actually quite delicious.
Telebardine, you say? Is that
it's Scotch.
That's okay. Yeah.
And this is from 2013, so sounds like maybe a little bit older than 8 years now, but 8 years after it was in casks, and it's been a little older now. Nonetheless, next up we have Funk Master Hex. Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, and cheers, sir. Hex Glenn, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas as well. For those of you like me who celebrate 12 days of Christmas, then we are actually in the Christmas season. So we don't actually, Christmas season starts December 25th and ends on January, I don't know, you have to do the math, 6th, 7th, I think the 6th, when, in the Christian celebration of Christmas, when they celebrate the wise men, showing up at Jesus' home to give him the gifts. But
I kn-
that is neither here nor there.
Quick feedback, Brendan. I don't know if this is my end because I'm on a phone, but I cannot see the chats appearing on screen if you are
Thank you.
clicking them as
I
you're reading them.
may have been starring them and not clicking them properly. So we go
Okay.
Hex Clan, Merry Christmas, Funkmaster Hex, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas, and Josh Slider. We got a few more here. We got Moondog, good friend of the show. Howdy, rowdies. So should I take my muzzle off? I really bite, but my bark seems to scare people enough. I tend to wear at least a loose one in public to help people feel safe. You know, Moonpill, I think that you have a very unique perspective on things, and I think it would be sad if you kept that muzzle on too tight, because unique takes and unique perspectives help everyone, widen their horizons. So we appreciate your sharing here all the time.
Rip it off.
Centurion
The ceiling.
54X, our famous farmer. What's up, D-Gens? What is up, sir? We have Tam Tam, Hexkin. Hello, my lovelies. Hello, Tam Tam. Hex Glenn, pirate flag. Love it. Oh, Hex Glenn says muzzle off sounds good. So he agrees with us. That was from 15 minutes ago. So he definitely said that before we did.
Muzzle off, muzzle off.
Taylor, little talk, and skateboard. Hang 10, buddy. Mr. Angry Twinkie, what's good? Hey, buddy. Nice to have you. Yes, Hex Glenn agrees. Just don't breathe the O3.
Yep.
But good advice. And
Hell
Moondog
yeah.
says, owns own machine good for getting fire, flood, and other biological smells out of a rehab. If you're redoing a house and you may have not realized some of the tenants that were in there when you started taking down the walls, that is a really good, that's really important, because it can be really hard to get some of those smells out. And Moondog says, appreciate it, Bean. No, we appreciate you, fellow. So thank you. And that's all for the chat shout outs. Now we are going to get into some juicy news. I was only on the show for a short while last week. I didn't get to touch on the macroeconomic side of things, but we had some huge news when it came to the economy, and everything that we're seeing in the United States continues to look like a strong economy. Now we'll see what that looks like over the next couple quarters. But we had inflation that was supposed to be expected at 3.1% come down to a very low 2.7%, much, much lower than anticipated, and one of the lowest readings since 2021. So really fantastic news as far as inflation goes. Then we got GDP, which they were expecting GDP, which is gross domestic product, right? That shows the health of your country, how much you're growing. And that was expected to come in at 3.3%, which is actually pretty good. Anytime your GDP is higher than inflation, you're growing as an economy and you're outpacing inflation. And that's a good thing. Will, did you see what the number came in at?
For GDP? I have no idea.
It came at 4.3%, a full percent above expectations.
That's good. That's
fantastic. Good. So now, inflation 2.7, GDP 4.3. That's 1.5% difference. That's signs of a stronger than expected economy.
My question is, are they fudging with their measuring stick, or is this like good data, Because it's been a problem in the past. I don't know if it's necessarily with the exact thing that you're talking about. I'm just speaking of, government in general.
I think on the inflation, you have to take it with a grain of salt a little bit, because there was less data points because of the government shutdown than we've had previously. So, I'd like to see another reading, I'd like to see another reading to see what that looks like. I think
they skipped two of them, right?
Essentially two.
Yeah.
At least the
Zenith
data
did bring that chart up. Yeah.
So, that's challenging. That's one thing that you need to keep in mind. They haven't changed the rules of how they measure inflation like they had previously. But I don't think they had as good data for this CPI print. So we shall see what it looks like. I expect GDP to come down a little bit because of the government shutdown as well. So when we see the Q4 numbers, I expect those numbers to be a little bit muted compared to Q3 numbers, but that wouldn't surprise me as long as it still looks strong. That's still, for me, an upward trajectory, because you do have to take the government shutdown into consideration with the Q4 numbers because, they're backdated, right? And so it'll be government shutdown was like October into November. And so that's like almost half of Q4. Government wasn't spending the money that they normally spend. And so that affects GDP. Could also, funny enough, affect inflation. So we might need to see 2 more inflation prints, CPI prints, for me to really say, okay, yeah, we're really moving this in the right direction. But nonetheless, even with the data that we have, it came in far better than expectations. And so, if it came in equally, I'd say, okay, that's a little bit worrisome. But because it came in so much lower from a CPI standpoint and so much higher from a GDP standpoint, both those numbers are going to be good no matter what we see. So that's really positive news. The other thing to keep in mind is that the ETFs, the equity ETFs, in 2025 brought in 1.4 trillion. In fact, actually, let me find a tweet. I have a tweet here. I'm pulling this from a tweet. So wrote this stuff down. Let me share my screen here because I want to give this person credit. Since I have not been tweeting, I don't not have any of my own tweets to pull up, but I can't present. Share screen. So our good friend Brandon, Build the Tech. His name's changed a few times. Rags to riches. Many people know him.
Yeah.
But U.S. growth is running at its strongest pace since 2023. Inflation surprised lower. CPI 2.7%. New Fed chair under Trump likely means more rate cuts, especially because job market is still weak. And when inflation is going down and the job market's getting weaker, that leads to more cuts as well. I don't know about you, Will. You probably see this all over the country, but I came back and filled up my car, and it was like 40 cents cheaper than it was a couple months ago when I filled up my car.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 225 or something like that. Granted, that's near me, but I've never seen it that low in a very, very, very long time.
So I'm no OPEC measuring globe oil knowing eologist, but I do know that we seized a fuck ton of oil from Venezuela. So perhaps the reason that gas prices are cheap all over the country, by the way, it shot down everywhere. I want to say by like 40 or 50 cents over the last couple months. I thought it was just the area that I was in because I was close to like an oil refinery, and I was moving between job sites, and so I was like, oh, okay. But then no, dude, like literally everywhere has just been it's just been crazy good gas prices. Like I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and it's like $3, which is unheard of in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I'm sure that over in New Jersey it's going to be quite similar.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think that these are some of the things that are also helping with the inflation numbers, but it's continually happening, and with the tariffs, again, that's kind of like for the most part a one-time tax, so to speak, is that's what some people call it. We'll see what happens there, but I think the tariffs are going to have less and less effects. We just had a deal finally struck and approved between the United States and Switzerland, which they were at a 39% tariff rate coming into the United States for quite some time now. But as of December 18th, they actually backdated the tariffs from Switzerland to the United States, I think, to November 19th or November 9th, whatever date it was. And so they're at 15% now. So those imports are going to be less costly, like your Rolexes. And interestingly enough, Richard Hart talked about Rolexes a little bit in his video, so we'll hear some of that here in a little bit. We are going to listen to some big chunks of that and have some commentary on it. But I think that nonetheless, these are really big things. And I think the most important part of what he's saying here is this is a liquidity setup. What they're doing is they're getting ready to pump money into the economy. Inflation's coming down. They're less worried about that. Oil prices are coming down. GDP is much higher than anticipated, so you can outpace inflation, even if it's at the low 2%, 2.5%. We've argued if it's ever going to get to that below 2% again, or if they're going to be fine having it at 2.2, 2.3, 2.4%, as long as GDP is, outpacing it a good chunk, then they are ready to print money. So with a new Fed chair coming in, he's going to definitely be pushing for more liquidity, lower interest rates, Fed funds rates. And this could mean a big opportunity for 2026 if they truly start to pump this liquidity into the market. So it is, again, interesting that in the past, we've always talked about the 4-year cycle with crypto. But if you overlay, again, the liquidity cycles, those have matched up to the 4-year cycle perfectly. So now we're going to see what's going to break. Is it going to be the 4-year cycle or the liquidity cycle, right? 4-year Bitcoin cycle or liquidity cycle? What is going to give? It seems on a macro standpoint that a lot of things are starting to point into the liquidity cycle. So we've had a lot of things that have been down, right? It's not just crypto. Precious metals have been up, right? The big 5 or 7 stock companies have been way up, right? But everybody else kind of meandering. So we'll see what happens with this potential liquidity print in 2026. But I'm actually still very bullish that we have not seen the end of the bull market yet. So I'm excited. I don't know if it's going to be like January. Let's pump, but I am still in a bullish mindset with a little bit of some apprehension, right? I'm still paying attention to the potential that this cycle is going to end sooner than we anticipated, or not sooner. That's the wrong word. Not going to go as high as we anticipated. Not maybe Bitcoin, but Ethereum and the rest of the alts really haven't performed well. And I still see a really big opportunity. I see the building blocks still in place for a big leg up in early to mid 2026. And then we'll see. The 4-year cycle could still be intact if we pump into the middle of 2026 and then we crash back down and we hit, a low, so to speak, in Q4 of 2026. So we could just start measuring Bitcoin happenings and then, from low to low rather than high to high, if the liquidity cycle brings us up next year, but we hit a low in 2026. Now, again, look, we might not go down as low as we have in the past because of so many institutional buyers, right? There's just not as much money being pumped out without buyers. Every time people sell, Michael Saylor is buying. And I don't know if you saw, but they've just increased their cash on hand to over $2 billion. So not only are they doing really well from being able to buy Bitcoin standpoint, they've also increased their cash reserves so that they can pay out those dividends that they promised. And so they're really not worried at all if price is volatile, which means that there's not really going to be an opportunity, in my opinion, to kind of give them a crash, right? The long squeeze, so to speak. They're kind of in it long. They're not going to be able to squeeze them out, which means we could certainly see a lower bottom in 2026, right? We might not get that 80% pullback on Bitcoin. We might get a 40% pullback or a 50% pullback or less. And then that's the bottom. So we also really just need to keep an eye out on, what is these new cycles going to look like from a bottom standpoint and a top standpoint with all these institutional buyers, all the bigger money coming in. And frankly, a lot of these people that look like they're going to be holding longer than some of the JEETs and some ecosystems I know.
It's going to be a new paradigm. Well, I don't know if it's going to be. It's probably always a new paradigm, isn't it? That's nothing bold or crazy to say. Oh, things are always changing, And also, things never change. Shout out to a friend of mine who brought that up to my attention the other day. I think it was yesterday. But it's just like if our understanding this whole time has been wrong, and we've just been like tying the money and the value to the wrong campfire story this whole time, wouldn't that be funny? Like, how many books have been published? How many people have convinced fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, you name it. How many people have convinced other folks of stuff based on, what ends up not even being a theory because it's like, oh shit, turns out this whole time it was just tied to global liquidity. It has nothing to do with the fact that like 4-year cycle or whatever the hell. It's like when people get money, they buy a thing they like. That's an amusing new shift. And this is something. So like we're not the only ones that have been talking about this. Richard's mentioned it in this video we're about to pull up. Sami's been beating this dead horse for a long fucking time. I know we've said this over here a whole lot too. Like it is nothing new, I think. This theory that it's all tied to global liquidity instead of tied to a 4-year cycle. And I wonder if my own ability to consume the nuggets of the crowd, if that makes me a like straight up middle of the bell curve normie that like I'm just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, or is it like I just happen to be tapped into like the magical places that are talking about this sort of thing, so I just basically wonder what is the edge of having this knowledge or this theoretical knowledge or this campfire story, whatever you want to call it, so I'm just kind of thinking out loud, brainstorming. What do you think?
There may not be an edge because we're just too small, and the people that have the edge are the people that have the big wallets, the institutions, the governments. But I will say it's interesting because the institutions getting into Bitcoin and Ethereum, I would expect them to have done their research heavily, right? To really know the ins and the outs of previous cycles, to know, what these Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto bros think and talk about. And if they want to buy more tokens at a lower price, in my opinion, if I were them, I would want people to think that the 4-year cycle is intact and to sell their coins at 100,000 or 80,000 so that they can buy them before it's 200,000, right? And whenever that is, whenever 200,000 is. So it's very easy for them to use our emotions and our preconceived notions against us because we think that we're just so good following the 4-year cycle. It's undefeated, blah, blah, blah. What's undefeated? Institutions and governments' money. Yeah. That's what's undefeated.
The hubris will be their downfall.
Now, I have a couple of comments here.
Yeah.
Moondog says, I wonder if Europeans who buy their gas by the liter and in euros ever tune out when they hear Americans talking about their dollar per gallon and supersized everything. I think
their loss. We run the world currency.
I think that many of them are, in their own little world. That's for sure. And I think that their understanding of America is very, I won't say wrong. I think a lot of them don't understand America because, one, they haven't been here, and all they do is, listen to the news. That's what's being fed to them. And we know that the media and the news are, only pushing narratives that they want to push. And whatever the narrative that is in Europe right now, it's not a positive outlook for America. So I think most of them probably think that we're, whatever they want, but they think we're probably crazy. I don't know if they ever get jealous that our gas is so cheap. I mean, I go to Europe and I'm like, wow, this is expensive.
I don't think they drive the same way that we do here in America. They don't have the same level of sovereignty. Everything's a lot closer over there. They use public transit more. I think it might just be a combination of different culture. Plus, it's like talking about meat prices to a bunch of vegetarians. That's how I see it. Americans are the wonderful carnivores, and then the Europeans are all a bunch of vegetarians. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think that the size is the big thing. I don't think they really understand the magnitude of how big the United States is, and also in a large portion of the United States, it's really not inhabitable like it is in the East Coast or the West Coast. Like, you get into the mountain regions, you get into the Midwest, and it's all farms, and it looks very different than what Europe looks like. But nonetheless, I do think that the proximity and the size of countries make it much easier to get around. using public transportation. Like you go to Ireland, and yeah, maybe you need a car once you get outside the cities because you're not necessarily, unless you're going to a major city, they might not have the same infrastructure as the UK does. But nonetheless, in the developed areas of Europe, it's very, very easy to take public transportation. But again, you're just relying now on the government. So what good is that long term? I don't know. I mean, I like public transportation personally. But you know what I really like? I like being able to drive where I want to drive.
Yep.
At a well-priced dollar per gallon.
Yep. I like it. I agree with you 110%, he said, whilst driving across the states.
Let's see. We got a couple more comments here. Moondog says, what do we think the government and institutions' infiltration deeper into crypto is likely to influence towards a potential infinity print, or B, the ability to dump tons of bad debt, C, both or worse? So, Will, do you think that institutions and governments, their influences is going to lead to a potential infinite print, as in like number goes up, good for us, the ability to dump tons of bad debt, or both or worse case scenarios? I know what you're going to say, but say it anyway.
I'm gonna say unknown. Because I'm just surprised by so much shit most of the time. I'm gonna guess that whatever we think is gonna happen is probably not gonna happen. So that would be my my super easy answering the question without actually answering the questions. I think something that we totally don't even expect is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess. But if I had to put a pin on it, I would say infinite print. Because that's the thing that makes me feel good.
How about one leads to the other? It starts with a potential infinity print, and that's really the only way you're going to be able to dump tons of bad debt, right? So, or pay off tons of bad debt. So I think it could be both. I think it could be A first, then B. But I don't. Maybe the debt doesn't matter if A happens, right? Like if there's just an infinity print, like then what's their debt? It doesn't mean anything anyway. So.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of the debt is the way that it works, and the debt will never get paid off. The debt exists as like a value measurement set. Like the United States is never going to pay off the national debt because it's not in its interest to pay off the national debt. Because once the national debt is paid off, then where are the dollars? Until you pay off the dollars, like until the U.S. pays off the debt to the Federal Reserve, the dollar floats around. So like every single dollar you have in your pocket is one unit of government debt to the Federal Reserve. So as soon as the government like pays that debt off and says, all right, Federal Reserve, here you go. Here's your $1 worth of candy, gold bullion, and a high five. Then the Federal Reserve's like, all right, sweet. Now that you've paid off the debt, I can take away the receipt of, hey, you have one debt token with me, So like I don't think the government will ever pay off the debt. The government pays the interest, but the Fed just gives the interest right back to the like the treasury bonds. The Fed just gives the interest right back to the government. So like I don't think that they're obviously like paying like subscription service for having the debt be created or something like that, but it's all part of like a big fugazi is my best way of understanding it, is like the debt has to continue. The debt also has to get higher. And this snowball that we've started rolling down the hill just continues rolling until it's really fucking big, or we find a new system. Like the snowball is not going to roll down the hill and also get smaller is the way that I would best describe it. I think. I don't know. Is this making sense? Am I crazy here?
I mean, we're all a little crazy. But I think what you're saying generally makes sense. I have another comment here that I think is worthwhile. Eddie GC20, thank you for checking in. He says, if gold and silver are up so much, the economy is in bad shape. I think there is generally something to be said for that. When people add gold and silver, economy goes up a lot. But I would say that there are some outside factors here that may be affecting the price of gold and silver more than what is normal for a market. And one of those things is China. If you look at how much China has been buying precious metals, gold, since 2022 to current, it is pretty hefty increase. And then also what they're doing is, because of this sort of trade war, they've been trying to reduce how much dollars that they have in as their reserves, and they're trying to add more gold and silver. And so with China trying to drop dollars for gold and silver, not really because they're worried about the dollar, they're more just, okay, hey, if you're going to slap tariffs, we're going to have a trade war, we're going to get back to you in one way that we know how, and one easy way, and that's to dump dollars for gold and silver. Silver shot up so much because, frankly, it's scarce right now. It's really hard to find a lot of silver on the market to buy, and so that drives prices up. So yes, I think generally speaking, it is something to factor in as a potential negative for the economy. But just kind of spin it and look at both sides of it. I do think there are some other factors that we don't normally see buying up the gold and silver markets more than they might traditionally.
It sounds good to me, man. I know that China has been buying the fuck out of it. So that is definitive.
Now, interestingly enough, when we did our first perfect storm theory, our third episode, which maybe someday we'll get back to it, to cover it again, but there was almost everything fell into place perfectly. The one thing that we have not seen happen, and we had said that it probably would happen once Hong Kong started allowing ETFs, so it was going to be like a testing ground, and China is going to open up and allow people to invest in crypto. Turns out, I don't think China wants people to invest in crypto because they don't want them to be free. And so I think instead of us thinking that China was going to open the floodgates of people buying crypto this cycle, or they were going to buy crypto this cycle, it actually went the opposite direction, and they went and bought gold and silver this cycle and dumped dollars. And so that was something that we didn't really not really look into, but it wasn't really the consideration that, hey, we're going to have a trade war and they're going to go, hard commodities rather than our internet commodities. So it is interesting. It is something to think about. Eddie said, I'm selling enough silver for 10 validators on Pulse Chain. Hell yeah, bro.
Ooh,
that's sick. Congrats on that.
That's good. Or, well, I don't know if it's good. I would be excited to have 10 validators, so that's excellent.
Yeah, me too. If prices stay depressed, January is looking like a heavy buy signal for me because I get a bonus at work and I don't know what to do with all of it.
Time to invest in the future.
I pre-spent some of that bonus on ProveX, so we'll see what happens there. Not too much though. This will be my largest bonus I've ever got from a job, so it's exciting. Also some's just going to go into more traditional savings for rainy day funds in case something happens. But also, Will, I don't know if I told you this, but we got an offer on our house, so might be actually out of our house in Miami. We'll see if that goes through. Supposed to, fingers crossed, close before January 20th. So if all goes well, we might invest in some property where we currently are, which I don't really want to say specifically where we are, but maybe we might even build a house or two, sell a house, buy a house, rent a house. Like, what's nice is when you move from an expensive area to a cheaper area, you make your money that you've earned go a lot further. So, if we wanted to build two houses, we wanted to use one as a rental property. If we wanted to straight up sell it and live in the other one, we have a lot more opportunities for us. So, for people that are in areas that it's expensive to live, there are other ways to start, increasing your money and increasing your wealth by not just being stuck in the same routine, right? Okay, I love Massachusetts. I'm gonna stay here my whole life, right? I lived in Massachusetts, but it's a really expensive state. Moved to Miami, one of the most expensive. Wasn't when I moved there, but turned out to be one of the most expensive places to live. So now I'm in a place where it's a lot less expensive, and I'm seeing that it's an opportunity, and not everybody has that opportunity, right? Not everybody can work remote. Not everybody can find a job getting paid the same amount that they were getting paid in an expensive living state. But a lot of people do have that opportunity, or can find ways to make their money go further, and be that just to go buy more coins that you're into, more cryptocurrencies, invest in other things like gold and silver. Although right now it seems like might be a bubble out there at some point in the near future. We don't know. But nonetheless, it gives you an opportunity to expand your horizon. So I would always tell people to be open to moving and be open to finding opportunities. Because look, if you open your options of where you're going to live, how many more opportunities is that open for you as well? So, we talk about money and we talk about how to, build for your wealth. But one of those ways is being pragmatic, right? And understanding, okay, how can I make my money work for me the most? And that's a really important way that I don't think we talk about enough.
Yeah. I think the first problem that most people solve is, how do I stop losing money? And then it's like, okay, how do I stay where I'm at, or like save more, or like become more like efficient? And then like, how do I make my things work for, like, how do I turn my money into a money generating machine? So that's awesome, man. I love that that's an option for you. And like there's real estate's not going away. People need to live in houses. Like, that's the thing. No, I don't know what the pricing of it's going to be, but it's always going to be relevant. Looks like you got a comment there.
I was going to say, Moondog said, love the convo. Felt like an awkward question to throw out, but again, loving what it helped catalyze from you all. P.S. I have my own theories, but too long for YouTube comments. And I would say you should come on a Whiskey Wednesday and share some of those comments one time. Now, this Wednesday is New Year's Eve, so I don't know exactly what we'll be doing. I don't know how long I will be on for, if I'll be able to stream, but maybe we'll do a short New Year's Eve stream. But yeah, there's so many things to talk about. And I have one more comment here, just because it's relevant, Eddie. Again, I own 5 rental properties. It's the biggest headache I've ever put in. The S&P. Collect 4%. I think he's saying biggest headache I've ever had. Put the money into an S&P and collect 4% a year and call it done. For me, I actually think I'd probably realistically want to buy land, build a house, and sell it. Sort of more of a quick turnaround. I have that ability more just because of relationships and kind of being in that industry a little bit than other people. And so that
preloaded the work.
Yeah, right. And so it's different. And again, yes, renting can certainly be a headache. I hear horror stories all the time, but can also be a good way to, have good accounting in a way that where you get depreciation plus you get income. Depends on where your state. Depends on a lot of things. But yeah, on this. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should pull up the Richard Hart video. Although actually I want to show one thing before I do that. So I found this video from Wall Street Mav posted it, and it essentially is someone going around with a bunch of chocolate bars and one 10-ounce silver bar and saying, you want a 10-ounce silver bar or you want a chocolate bar? Let's see what these people say, because I think this is interesting. Kind of really shows what the normies are, how normies think from a day-to-day basis. Have you seen this, Will?
I have seen it. I saw it just recently, so I'm glad that you pulled that up, because I got fed the same thing.
Okay, let's share this. Let me know if you can hear it.
It's your lucky day today. You win a free 10-ounce silver bar, pure silver bullion, or a free Hershey's king-size chocolate bar.
Take this one.
You'll take the chocolate bar. Who needs a 10-ounce bar of silver? No. Have a good day. It's your choice. A free 10-ounce bar of silver bullion or a free king-size Hershey bar.
I think I'll take the Hershey bar.
Go ahead. It's your lucky day. Just fresh out of the refrigerator.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who needs a 10-ounce bar of silver when you can have a good, delicious bar of chocolate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You'd rather have the Hershey bar than the silver bar?
Yes, I would.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah, the Hershey bar, you can't eat the silver bar.
Yeah, that's right. You can't eat the silver. What are you going to do with a 10-ounce bar of silver, right? Which one do you want?
Probably the chocolate, because I'm a girl and it's been a cranky day.
Okay, it's yours. It's getting hot out here. Just offering people a free Hershey bar today or a free silver bar. Which one would you prefer?
Silver. I'll take the...
Who needs a silver bar? Lucky day today. A free chilled Hershey bar straight out of the fridge, or this bar of silver. 10 ounces.
What are you guys doing?
Which one do you want?
Well, I don't have any way to do anything with the silver.
Okay. So you'd prefer the Hershey bar?
Yeah, but is it real?
Yes. Just straight out of the fridge.
Doesn't seem real.
The Hershey bar doesn't seem real. I mean, we could go into this coin shop. We could verify the silver bar is real.
No, that's all right.
It's real.
I always take chocolate.
Always take chocolate. Enjoy. You're a winner today. We're offering a free Hershey bar right out of the fridge.
Okay.
Or a free silver bar. It's 10 ounces. It's a little tarnished. Which one do you want?
I don't know. Chocolate bar.
Go ahead. Right. It's yours. You're a winner.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. You're a winner. You win either a free 10-ounce bar of tarnished old silver bullion or this Hershey bar just out of the fridge.
What is it? What's going to happen?
Which one do you want?
Candy.
Go ahead. It's yours. All right. We got another winner. The Hershey bar giveaway. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube.
So that's it.
So I got, yeah.
It's interesting. So every single person, at least that they showed us, chose the chocolate bar. And
how much did they cherry pick the footage? You know?
Correct. However, I think that you don't really need to cherry pick footage. So one, the question is, when you're put in a position like that, you're like, okay, is this a prank? Is what's right? So if I choose silver, what's he gonna, what's gonna happen to me? I do think there's some psychological and some social engineering impacts going on there. However, I think most of it is real. I think most of it is people are so disinterested from understanding money and understanding the economy and understanding the value of something that a 10-ounce bar of silver is like $750, and they're choosing $1 chocolate bar over a $750 silver bar. Like, even if you don't know what the price of silver is, right? You know that like a half a pound of silver is more than a chocolate bar. So it's interesting, but I think it also just goes to show, like, if you take that analogy and you move it into crypto, people like to buy things that might not be worth the money, but they think that it's new, or they think that it's cool, or they're used to it. And so they just, go towards that. But people don't always choose to invest in things that are better. And I think that's interesting.
I think this is like an eye-opening experience into the world of why do people end up in mediocrity? Why are most people in the middle of the bell curve? And I think that this is just my speculation here, but I think that people are choosing based off of comfort, like the realm of things that they know, and I don't think they're measuring it with like monetary value. I think they're measuring it like, oh, guaranteed result that I know is a thing that like I know exactly what I'm getting, versus like this unknown thing could be a prank. I don't have a way to measure silver. Like it's out of my realm. If somebody offered me like a fucking crazy cool Pokemon card, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do with it. I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I go on eBay and I sell it for $100 or something, like, right? But that costs effort. Going and finding out, and this is, you and I, Brendan, we both have a bit of sales experience. So like getting someone to buy something like from you is a bit of a chore. Like getting someone to buy your house, getting someone to buy a silver bar, getting someone to buy like your favorite used skateboard. Anyone who's ever tried to sell something on Facebook Marketplace knows this, or Craigslist or whatever. So like if a person sees like, oh, this is a $700 thing of silver, what can I do with it? Like maybe they're doing the calculation of like, oh, I would have to do like 20 hours of canvassing on Craigslist and eBay and Facebook or whatever. Like it looked like a pretty old video also. But like, I think that people, like when you boil it down to the brass tacks, I think that everyone was choosing the comfort and the guarantee over the risk and the stepping out into the void and seeing, like, really just reaching out there and grabbing the unknown. So I think that everyone in that video was choosing comfort and choosing, locked in results rather than like taking a risk, taking a chance sort of thing. And I think that that's what most people do, is most people just like choose to do the easy thing, which is, oh, candy bar. Candy bar is a guaranteed win right now. If I choose silver bar, like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I don't know if this dude's some fucking like. Also, you've been to the French Quarter in New Orleans, right?
Certainly.
So
have.
like, there's people out there like on the streets that will fucking like scam you or try and like do some crazy shit and pickpocket you or whatever. So like, there's also a level of like natural distrust for human beings offering free things, and also offering free things of high value. Like, what's the catch? What's the what are you trying to sell to me here? Like, what's the thing? It's like, I do not know what I would do in that scenario. I would like to think I'd choose the silver bar, but I might very well go with the chocolate. If you catch me like 5 or 10 years ago, I would probably have chosen the chocolate just like everyone else did. I think that I would be probably a normie in that scenario back then. I don't know what I would do now. I would like to say I'd choose the silver bar, but yeah, different worlds. I don't know. Is anything I'm saying making sense? You got any thoughts?
No, I mean, that's what I was saying too. I mean, I think there's some social aspect to it where it's like, okay, this is too good to be true type of thing. And now I might also not want to take a chocolate bar from a random stranger on the street. Like, that also seems very not safe to me. So probably I wouldn't choose that. At least the silver bar is not going to have poisoning in it, I don't think.
You know what's interesting is the association of like a plastic covering versus like a homemade covering. Like, if somebody handed me a piece of chocolate wrapped in some like printer paper, I wouldn't trust it anywhere near as much as I would trust a thing with a Hershey label on it.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's recourse with the Hershey label. There's like, oh, if this thing is bad, they have an entire brand at stake, versus like, if this random chocolate that I got from a random stranger is bad, then maybe I die, so like, I don't know who this person is, but I know who Hershey is. It's got a barcode. They've got 80 years of product, like proven product efficacy, and like, they have a whole identity centered around this. So I don't know, just some thoughts I'm having.
Well, I like it. I still think it's interesting. I still think most of it comes down to people not knowing the value of something. But nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's now
take a look at
Ricky video here. Yes.
Ricky Tikki Tavi.
Get to that.
The mongoose that eats the cobras. I will say, while you are pulling up the video, for anyone who did not watch it, I would recommend that you guys watch it of your own accord without our commentary, and come to your own conclusions. Obviously, we're going to do it ourselves, and we might skip over some things, but it's a good video. And I was talking to Dace earlier today about it, and one of the things that he had brought up that I hadn't thought about is that, like, this seemed like one of Richard's most genuine videos that he's done lately. It hit a chord a whole lot differently than any of his other ones. And frankly, I think that if he did videos instead of typing up little tweet storms on Twitter, I think that he might find himself much more successful. If you were to follow in Johnny Chaos' footsteps and just kind of like, I have a thought. I'm pulling out the phone right now and doing the thing. Obviously he probably can't do that because maybe wants privacy and, high quality streaming stuff, but like, just, some off the cuff, genuine, doing it live stuff. I think that there's a good honesty in that. But have you found the video, Brendan?
I have. Yes. I'm ready
to
share it.
Yeah, so go ahead, pull her up.
Was what Richard Hart posted on Christmas.
It is not on screen if you are wondering if it is. There we go.
All right. Here we go. I may pause and we can commentary and then we can skip some parts, but let's at least watch the beginning here.
Hello, everybody. Richard Hart here. Hope everyone's having a good Christmas. Some of you aren't. Some of you, Christmas sucks. And so here I am to try and share the Christmas spirit and the Christmas joy with you. So we're here together. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're making the best of it. Where are we at? Well, we're at Bitcoin at 87.5K. We're at Ethereum at 2950. And all the R8 rounded stuff is wrecked. Everybody's wrecked. Prove X, I think, did 16M of SAC, more or less, 16.3M. And then the prices dumped for the SAC. And then somebody bridged in something from many months ago and then doubled the price on PulseX, more or less. And then the community sold it directly down again. Right back down. So I don't know. I thought it was a cool theory that the weekends would be shaken out. Look, new shiny thing, cool. And then man, the weekends are like, who's the guy? The David Goggins guy. He just runs a lot. There's a pretty funny image of David Goggins with the text is, "The sellers are exhausted." And underneath it says, "The sellers." This picture of David Goggins running. So yeah, everybody likes to project so there's a recency bias. So anything that's recent is what people assign causality to. So like the news says, oh, price is down. What just happened? Okay, that must be related. That's not how real life works. Crypto's kind of wrecked right now, depending on what your reference point is. I mean, not so many months ago, Ethereum was $1,400 or $1,500. Now it's $3,000, which sucks compared to the $5,000 it was, 4 years ago, or a few months ago itself.
He has left the screen, Brandon, just so you're aware.
Yep, I put that back up. 1 second. Sorry.
All good. No sweat. No sweat. This is how the folks at home know that we do it live. This is proof of genuine right here.
So like the news says, oh, price is down. What just happened? Okay, that must be related. That's not how real life works. Crypto's kind of wrecked right now, depending on what your reference point is. I mean, not so many months ago, Ethereum was $1,400 or $1,500. Now it's $3,000, which sucks compared to the $5,000 it was, 4 years ago, or even a few months ago itself. I don't know, maybe 5 months ago, something like that. It's hard to memorize all the charts across all different time frames. So, when you're in a community and you're looking at the prices and you're wondering, well, what is it that's going on in the community that's affecting the prices? A lot of the times it's things that are going on outside of the community. So, crypto has the most regulatory certainty, the most adoption by legacy, the most integration with banks, the best this, the best that, the best SEC we've had in years, you name it. And it's only 87.5K. 4 years ago, I called the top on the day at 65K. So, being up 20%, not that great when, gold's up maybe 70% on the year, something like that. But look, China is buying gold to replace their US dollar reserves. China's not buying, at least to the best of my knowledge, as much crypto as they're buying gold. And that you see it on the price chart, right? The cycle is interesting. So I said a long time ago that Bitcoin was coming to the top of its S curve. And this is what the top of an S curve looks like. It looks like a lot of sideways, limp pumps. Yeah, it's interesting. The value proposition is still there. Banks still suck as hard as they ever have.
There for a second.
Okie dokie.
So let me put us back up there for a second.
Yeah.
So I think there were some interesting things that he says right off the bat. Mm-hmm. So Moondog has a comment that I think is interesting because this is one thing I was going to ask you about. He said, did he just say his theory was shiny new thing would have helped shake out the weak hands and was surprised there were sellers? So all the SAC money goes to prove X or some. I mean, 16 million is almost nothing. So, 16 million is not that much when you have people like Rackham and other people in the ecosystem that wallets are connected to them are selling a lot more. And so maybe the hope was that there's going to be a lot larger sacrifice, and who knows? But I thought that was a very interesting comment as well, Moondog. Not exactly what I was anticipating from the opening line of the video, but I think it is something certainly to note. What do you think, Will?
I hadn't thought about that at all. I was thinking about the fact that in the beginning he said, somebody bridged in a whole bunch of money a long time ago and used that to double the PulseX sacrifice, and then the community was the one that sold it down. It's like, it's interesting that there's two separate entities there, as opposed to saying like, the community bridged in a whole bunch of money and bought up some PulseX and then the community sold it down. It was like, no, one particular entity bridged in. So it's like, it's just funny, like we're dancing around the fun little terms, and it's just like that was the thing that I picked up on, is like, yeah, one person or entity bought something a whole bunch and then other people did bad thing to it, and it's just like, I mean, that is basically what happened. It's just like, it's funny that we sort of kind of speak of it almost openly, but not quite. We're just a little bit of the ways off.
Yeah, and another comment from Eddie said he sounds depressed. So I think in the beginning, I think this is he's being real, which I think people will be happy to see. Now, when we get to the end of the video, the last 5 minutes probably is my favorite part of the video, and there's some really interesting commentary there in regards to his emotional well-being, Eddie, and what gets him going. So when we get there, I think it's going to be super interesting to listen to.
Yeah. I'll just say real quick, he does sound depressed. And one of the things that makes people depressed is when you try something and it doesn't work and you just keep doing it. And you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And you keep getting results that you don't want, and you don't change your behaviors. And like, I was being very critical in the DGen Roundtable Telegram when I was talking about this sort of behavior that he's undergoing. And it's just like, this is what happens when you live inside of or like when you exist inside of a dome that doesn't interact with the outside world to a healthy degree, that gives you feedback and gives you like reciprocity, or when you only filter in the wrong messages, you don't have good frame control. It's like it's interesting, like analyzing it from a people perspective and a human psychology perspective. And then also like, are you doing things, and are your things getting the result that you want? And are you changing the things that you're doing to get different results? Or are you doing the same thing over and over again and ending up with the same result? So it's just kind of like, it's funny at a bare bones level. And obviously I'm oversimplifying everything here, but that's the general gist of what I see when I look at this video. So I would agree with Eddie. He does sound a little bit depressed, or morose, or somber, whatever you want to call it.
Well, let's listen to a little bit more, because I think this is I'm just going to fast forward this a little bit here.
Sure. Sure.
Look real similar.
There's timestamps too underneath the post. If you're both Sami and RH Max did timestamps for it.
Aha. Let me
if there's
pull up one of those.
Yeah. There was a
I have it written down, but that'll be easier if it's right there.
Yeah. And I think if you click on the link, then it auto takes the video right to it.
Yeah. So let me 1 second. But I think a lot of the beginning of the video is, him talking about a lot of things being down, right? In there, he talked about it's not just what's inside the community that's driving price down. There's a lot of factors outside the community that's driving prices down. And I think
whole world down bad.
Yeah. And I think that is important to note, because it's
real.
Silver doing well, but most things not doing fantastic overall. So I don't see Richard Hart. Let me try Sami. I mean, RH Maximalist, I don't see one with timestamps.
Okay.
Let's try
Yeah.
here.
I might have a different algo.
Well, I went to his page, but it could have been a different post.
Oh, no, it was a comment directly underneath the original post. Yeah.
Lo siento, thank you.
Yeah. All good. All good.
There we go. So I will share this and people can see this timestamps that we're going to be taking a look at.
And the camera framing is still on. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Yes, so we've just kind of got through here. That's correct. Impact of government policies and markets. And then he talks about luxury goods being down. You know, like I said, he talks about a lot of things being down. Rolexes, certain types of cars, and a lot of other high-priced goods that people just don't have a lot of money because why is that? Liquidity hasn't really been pumped into the market, right? They've been having tightening, and the Fed just started to ended, I should say, quantitative tightening. And so when we start to see quantitative easing, that means more money being pumped into the market. So more money to spend on things, or cheaper money to spend on things. But I do want to get into some of these other things because I think it is interesting. So let's go to 1141 to start. So I'm going to go from here and then through reflexivity, because I think this stuff where he's sort of talking through game theory of the pulse chain ecosystem, the PulseX ecosystem, is all really important stuff to the community. So let's get back to that. So we'll go to 1141.
I think it's localized to whatever community you're in. This is you have a lot of people FOMO gambling and doing stupid stuff. It's one of the few places where people doing stupid stuff leads to positive outcomes for humanity, pretty much. So what else is going on? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm basically just here to tell you guys that I'm here with you. I'm in the same situation as you. I wish prices were higher. I think there's a nonprofit foundation in the United States that's sitting on nearly 1 million, if not already 1 million, LCD writing tablets that have a market value of maybe this device or similar would cost about $15 at Staples. You can get them a lot cheaper on Amazon, but not branded, or maybe without magnets, things like that. You would wish that you would just send stuff, branded merch to people, and they would just love it. They're like, yeah, this is awesome. They jump right in. But if people don't have money, it doesn't matter what you send them. Now, is everyone broke? No, not everyone's broke. If you had bought the Magnificent 5 or 7, you probably got a lot of money. Congratulations to you. If you've been holding gold forever or silver forever, congratulations. But this, imagine being in Michael Saylor's position or Tom Lee's position. Michael Saylor bought billions of dollars of Bitcoin. And if he were to try and sell right now, he'd probably be cash negative after the price slipped against him. And Tom Lee bought billions of dollars of Ethereum. And if you were to sell right now, the slippage would also probably put him cash negative. You might be cash negative without having had to buy billions of dollars. It's like, man, where do these guys get the coins to sell? My goodness. Like if you look at PulseX, so PulseX now has burnt what people consider to be 8.5% of the what they call the retail supply. I'm not sure how accurate the term is, but that's a lot of coin burning. It makes you wonder. I've tried to explain hurts a lot of people, and there's a specific nuance to it in that if you have a coin that is tied to stable coin and a pair, when someone wants to buy your coin, the bot has to buy the other side of the pair. So if you bought Trump coin and it was tied with USDC and it was on the Solana network, you had to turn your Solana into USDC to get the Trump out. And then the trading pair has more USDC. And the net effect is that the Solana got sold for USDC in order for someone to get Trump. So it was a net down on the system. And so when you look at blockchains and their prices, if you have something that appreciates on a chain, but its majority is tied to stablecoin, other people will sell the native token to get the stable, to get the coin that they want. And so you have this, I don't know if you call it a dilemma, but like a design space decision where if things run and they're tied to stable, you might nuke the other coins compared to stable. And so if you like reflexivity, you want everything tied to everything else. The problem with that is if something nukes, it hurts everything else. If something runs, it helps everything else, as long as everything's priced in the native. And so you wonder, you're like, you almost want to do the science and do the math and look at like, what would it look like if everything on the chain was majority tied to stable? And then when something ran, I mean, my gut feeling is that the reflexivity is still the way to go, because you've seen it work so many times. You know, you saw Solana go up when everyone was in the trenches launching new tokens. You saw Ethereum go up when people were launching ICOs on it. I still think that in a bull market, the reflexivity of everything tied to native is probably the right play, because I've never seen it work any other way. I've never seen a chain where the majority of the coins were tied to stables, and then in like, yeah, I don't know. It would be one of those interesting thought experiments. There's other like interesting thought experiments, like nested liquidity layers. So what if coin A is tied to coin B, and then B is tied to C, and then C is tied to D, and then A moves up? Well, how much reflexivity is there between B, C, and D on a graph, on a chart? I think it'd be real fun to see that kind of chart. Yeah. So battle.
Okay, so let's pause there for a minute, because I think there's a few things that he talked about there that was interesting. Anything that jumped out to you?
Yeah, I wonder if the end result to his hypothesis is during bull market, you tie object to ecosystem asset, and then during bear market, you tie it to stablecoin. You know, like if there's a person who is in charge of the liquidity pools, do they make one liquidity pool bigger for X, Y, and Z, and make other liquidity, and then switch it to the other? Like, imagine if most of Bitcoin's liquidity was in, you know, or rather not Bitcoin, like Pulse Chain or whatever is tied to Ethereum during the bull market, and then during the bear market, most of that liquidity gets pulled and it's thrown into USDC instead, so that the Ethereum doesn't drag down the Pulse Chain when everyone's selling the Ethereum, and when everyone's buying the Ethereum drags the Pulse Chain up. I don't know exactly if it works that way, or if you experience some sort of impermanent loss in doing so. But I wonder if that's the thing that he's talking about. That's the only thought that I had. Were there any thoughts that you had while he was talking?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is that he's still theorizing. He's still thinking, right? He's still saying, hey, should I make some changes to how the liquidity is paired in the ecosystem? And he's always talked about reflexivity, right? Okay, if people start buying the thing, it's going to bring everything up. But at the same time, it works in the opposite way as well. If somebody sells something, it brings everything down. So being tied to Pulse or PulseX as the main pairs, rather than being tied to a stable coin, if everything's tied to a stable coin, then, you know, they kind of can run individually, and it's not going to bring the whole ecosystem up. It's not going to bring the whole ecosystem down. But I think his point is without reflexivity, the ecosystem as a whole is not going to become stronger. It's going to be much more challenging for the entire ecosystem to become strong. Now, currently, we've just seen it have the opposite effect, right? The downward sell pressure is bringing the whole ecosystem down, dumping any coin, especially any of the core coins within the ecosystem. The other thing that I thought is funny is like, where are people getting coins to dump at these low prices, right? It's like, you really want to dump it at the lows? Like, I think he was just saying, okay, y'all are stupid. But look, I
He
think
has said that many times.
I think people are, I think some people are swing trading every pump, and until Ethereum and alts in general start to pump to really good numbers, then it's going to be easy to do that. It's going to be hard to bring the prices up if everything else is down, right? And so if everything starts to go up, if alts and if liquidity is really start to pump into the alts, then we could see something completely different. But we shall see. I have a nice comment here. Canadian Staker says, profit is profit. I guess if they bought at the lowest of the lows and sold 10% or 20% above the lows, then yes. But also depends if people, if people are selling, they could have been whales, right? They could have got a good multiplier. So it would have been different. But yeah, anybody could have sold for, he says could have sold your sack bag 2x. So I guess no more cry fagging, I guess. I mean, anyone could have sold for 2x, but no one expected that to be the end. And I think many people still believe that we can go out much higher. But it is interesting that he's still sort of game theorying and thinking about, okay, when things potentially take off for the global liquidity, we shall see. But yeah, I think that it's interesting. And I think that him still thinking and talking about that is very interesting as well. So we can go on a little bit more because I think at some point he talks about the PulseX buy burn, which I really liked. I think he mentioned that in that, right? He mentioned 8.5% of the supply. And I think when he said retail supply, I think he's saying non-OA or non-sack wallet supply. So it's still impressive, right? 8.5x, and we haven't even really had much of a market yet. And this is why I'm bullish on PulseX. If ecosystem does take off and we continue to see large amounts of money and high transaction volume, PulseX is going to burn crazy amounts. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's see. I am going to fast forward here.
Okie doke.
Let's go to 1825. And I will bring him back up. So just bear with me. Loading. Why is it loading?
Things that help each other over and over and over again. And I feel that eventually you get to a bottom with the number of people on ramping and the economic energy in exceeds the economic energy out. I don't think people have infinite coins they can sell. And I think people, if they are exposed to multiple options and are able to evaluate some of those options being better than others, they should buy the better thing. I think that the Pulse Chain, PulseX, Hex, soon to be ProveX stuff, I think it's just better. I think there's a lot of stuff out there is trash, but people buy the trash because it's what's offered to them. So whatever it takes, whether it's email or phone calls or going door to door or figuring out better text to include with your free merchandise, say an LCD writing tablet. Whatever those things are is what you have to do, because people are getting pitched trash constantly. Here, sports betting. Here, prediction markets. Here, bet whether a guy says this word or that word. That's
I have a thought. Can you pause it
gonna
for a second?
move society forward. That doesn't build loud.
Yes, sir.
My thought is that I think, and perhaps I'm incorrect here, but I think that like if you're pitching something to someone and they're not buying, it could be that the pitch is the problem. It could be that they don't have the money, or it could be that they're not interested. So like a thing has to solve someone's problem in order for them to buy it, or it has to make them think that it's going to solve their problem, or fucking something. I don't know. There's like I don't think that he gives credence to that point in his thoughts. So I just wanted to interject that real quick. That's all I got.
Yeah, that the products just might not be of interest to people, no matter how good they are, type of thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's cool if you think it's good, bro. But like, if other people don't think it's good, then And it's also funny that he talks about like, I think all it needs is marketing, and it's like, well, isn't that like your thing? Isn't that the thing that you do? I don't know. I thought it was amusing.
I thought the outrage marketing has really hurt the ecosystem.
Yes, I agree.
He's kind of, and by the way, he's kind of alluded to that as well at times.
Yeah, and I think that it not only hurt the ecosystem, I think it also hurt his brand, which is what it was built on in the first place. A lot of the stuff was built on Ricky's like the stuff that he did and the things that he said, and he just kind of threw that all in the trash when he was twerking and like doing the stupid watch shit and the outrage crap. It's like there's a very real reputation. It's like, do I trust Metallica as much when they say, hey, I'm Metallica and I drink Gatorade, so go buy Gatorade. If you listen to Metallica, you should be drinking Gatorade or something. That's just, I put it in the same category. It's obviously I'm being more bombastic here, but it's my thought on that. So,
well, I think it's a good point because you lose credibility when you do things that make you look like
are uncredible. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep.
So
you can continue.
Might take a while to undo some of that.
Oh yeah.
Value. The things in this ecosystem that keep reinforcing each other. I mean, that 8.5% that people talk about being burnt on PulseX, I think that eventually has an effect. Those coins are gone forever. They're burnt. There's no inflation. They can only burn. I think if you build more things like that, eventually the supply just keeps shrinking. And then whenever you drip in some demand, it should hit harder. So that's a theory. And that's what I believe in. And look, I've been here through, not so many months ago, Ethereum was $1,500. Months, homies, not years, months. And before that, Ethereum went from 1,500 to 88. 2 digits, 88. That was 4 or 5 years ago, right? Late 2021, I think. So this stuff's volatile, and Rolex is in the same boat you're in, and sports cars are in the same boat you're in. The magic is to just keep doing what you know works or what you believe will work. And I think that having inbound and outbound phone would be great. I think that if spokespeople need tried, if hot AI chicks with big boobs need tried, whatever is working for the rest of the world. If you consume adult content, which I came up with a funny phrase for, which I haven't told anybody yet, but it was something along the lines of, porn is where you pay people to not have sex with you. Or no, porn is where you pay people to have sex, but not with you. Something along those lines. I'm sure I could massage it into a good tagline or saying. But some of those people in those porn videos, not that I would ever watch such a thing, but some of those people in porn videos are watching crypto gambling logos, URLs. on their clothes, so you can't like remove the watermark. Oh, all right. Well, if they've been doing that for years, it must work a little bit. Maybe that's something somebody should try. You got to try all the things, right? Until you have literally tried all the things. The game is you try every single thing, you see what works, and you stick around long enough so that when people have money again, they rotate into the better thing instead of the worst thing. That's my belief. And I think it'll work. And while everyone else disappears.
And Will, to your point, just to pause it there for a second, how do you get people to believe that it's the better thing, right? Like,
yep.
Even if it is, let's just say that it is the best. By the way, I do think it's a great product. So I'm not here because I agree, but you're not trying to sell me on this, right? You're trying to sell people that aren't in this ecosystem. So how do we show that it's better? Community, sure, that's one thing. I think a lot of people have been very impressed by the Pulse Chain and Hex communities, especially through all the red candles, through all of this. How many videos have been put out? How many YouTube videos, conferences? I mean, you name it. If you like the conferences or not, some are good, some are bad. Everyone has a different opinion. But nonetheless, my point is there's a lot of content being put out in the ecosystem. So I think the community is a positive. I think a lot of people, even outside of the ecosystem, have said that. But how do you actually convince people that it's better, right? It's like you actually have to teach them it's better. And that's where, us onboarding and talking to people will help. But again, until money comes in, until green candles start to happen in alts, in the liquidity cycle, in the business cycle, from less risky assets like gold and silver to more risky assets like crypto, not maybe Bitcoin so much, but Ethereum and other alts, then maybe people aren't going to listen. Maybe people aren't listening yet, but we do need to be ready when they are ready to listen. And I do think that is an important point by him.
Yeah. 100%.
They all go away. I persist. I don't go away. I stay here. And not because I need to be here, but because I need to be here. It's a mental thing. I know I am here for glory. I want my glory. And I think we have the tools that we need to get it.
So, Will, I think this is my favorite part. And this is where look how his demeanor has changed here. He's now, getting a little excited again. He's telling you what his purpose is, why he's here. And he's not saying it's necessarily healthy, but it's just how his mind works, how he works. And yeah, I'm just going to go back here just a few seconds because I just want to reiterate this because I do think this is a very cool part. But I'm going to let it.
And you're right. You're right to talk about watching his body language and watching his facial expressions and paying specific instruction to it. So.
Right. Look at what he looks like now talking about this than the beginning when he looked depressed, as Eddie said.
I know. Mm-hmm. I am here for glory. I want my glory. And I think we have the tools that we need to get it. And the stuff that we have now is far better than it ever was before. I mean, Hex ate $50 million of sell pressure just to pay gas fees on the Ethereum network. That sucked. Doesn't have to do that again. On everything is reinforcing everything else. I think it's really, really cool. I believe in it. And I'm just going to keep talking about what I believe in. So I believe in this stuff. I hope you guys are having a good Christmas, as good as it can be. And you got to put things into perspective. There's some people that have all the money in the world, none of the freedom. Money they can't spend. There's some people that have all the freedom and no money. And then there's those people that are lucky enough to appreciate what they have. And those are the rich people. The rich people are the people that appreciate what they have. And there's always something you could appreciate. Try as I might, I'm not one of those happy types. You should be one of them. You're going to be more effective, joyously happy about the process, the journey, so to speak. If you can do that, more power to you. It's free. It's free to appreciate what you've got, and it's the only thing that'll make you truly feel wealthy. There's a lot of people that have a lot worse than you. If you're watching this, you got internet, congratulations. You got a screen, congratulations. You've got speakers, you've got hearing. I mean, congratulations. You got a lot of things going for you. You should focus on them in Christmas, because otherwise you'll be like me. Not that happy, but working very, very hard. No amount of wealth or money could change what I want. What I want is glory, and my glory is not going to come from just money. It's gonna come from the success of the things I built. And I'll tell you another thing that people don't understand. A lot of silent guys, they click sell.
So, Will, I just want to pause that there. Does he start depressed? Is he providing some hope right now? To the community?
I don't know if hope is the right word, but he's definitely speaking more truth to power than like he normally would. He's definitely being more real and relatable. That's what I would say.
I think it's interesting because one of the things that has always interested me in Richard Hart is his ability to want to succeed, to want to be the best, to want to have the best community, want to have the best chart, and that has not happened. And you can see that has taken some toll on him. But I can also see that he's not a man that wants to give up. He's not a man that thinks he's anywhere close to the end, and nor does he think that this is a failure. Convert completely on the other side, right? He actually thinks that there's still huge opportunity for success here, and that's all that he cares about: successful products that he built. And I think that is, or I should say, it could be, something that brings hope to people that are really struggling with the current prices. But yeah, the community is great. There's some people in there that can be challenging. But I think overall the community is really great and strong. But I think this whole aspect of, I really want my products to succeed, still gives me a lot of hope.
Oh,
yes.
Who do you think it hurts?
Sorry.
That was all. I was just agreeing. Go ahead.
When they click sell. Well, it hurts the price chart for people that are looking at it, but they're selling into like my personality. My life sucks worse when other people press sell. That sucks, man. A lot of you guys out there, when people press sell, it doesn't directly affect your image of yourself. It's probably not that healthy to associate your feeling of success in life, no matter how hard you work, with things outside your control, like the prices when everything's wrecked. Do you think Ethereum should be down cheaper by nearly half after 4 years? Why? Did they not work hard enough? You know what I mean? Do you think Bitcoin, after Saylor bought who knows how many billions of it, should be sitting at a limp dick 1.2x over 65K from 4 years ago? That sucks, right? But you build. Look, Amazon dropped 95% too. It happens, right? The markets are fickle beings. And if you want to win, you keep doing what works. Oh, people want to sell? Cool, sell. Please, go away. Great. Whether people buy or sell or not doesn't affect whether you built the right ecosystem, the right machinery, the right marketing tactics, the right narratives. Doing those things and building those things is completely unrelated to whether people recently bought or sold or not. The focus is on whether you should feel proud in the things that you've built and the things that you're doing. The price is going to go up and down regardless. Ethereum's the same thing it was when it was $1,500 not so long ago, and then $5,000, and now $2,850 or $2,950. It's the same stuff, more or less. And the prices move around a lot, and that's life. And you just want to keep doing the things that you can be proud of. And some people, they just disappear. And that's all right too. Not everybody's cut out to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. There's a lot of people out there working really hard to make the things you care about more popular and stronger and better. And I like to think I'm one of the people promoting those better systems, those better technologies.
That's it. That's all of it.
All right. Yep. I would say that's the meat and the potatoes of it.
I think he was a lot more real in this video. I think he's always real. I think he's always honest. Honestly, even if
this is more relatable though.
Yes. Even if to read through the lines and he's honest, I think this time he's more relatable. I think he really felt like the Richard Hart that people, thought they knew, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not that he's changed, or maybe he has, who knows, but I'm just talking about perception, right? And the end, he's talking about like charts down affect him personally, like his mental well-being. And when someone says he's depressed early in the video, like he kind of says that at the end, right? He kind of says like, okay, the prices might affect your wallet, but it doesn't affect your mental health, right? For him, it's affecting his whole being, because while it's better to be appreciative of what you have, and that's definitely something that we try to preach, and I try to preach and try to live honestly as a Christian, being appreciative of what I have. That doesn't mean we can't strive for more, right? Two different things, but mindset is really important. He's saying he doesn't have that mindset. He can't be appreciative of what he has. He is only appreciative of being successful. That's the only thing that helps well-being and helps him feel good. And so at some point, if Pulse Chain and Hex and Pulse X and whatever he's built, Prove X, aren't successful, then it's completely negative to him. And one thing that he said that was really interesting is like, and he's like, a lot of people are buying, but they're buying into this personality. Like his desire, his sole goal in life is to make successful products. So he's essentially saying whatever happens with the selling is almost futile in the long run. But that's what he's saying. We'll see if that's what happens.
Yeah. We shall see indeed. One of the things that stuck out to me in that statement was like the power scenario of when people say like, I feel this way because this is how I am. To me, that seems like an unempowering statement, as opposed to like, I am purposefully this way because I make it so. It's like, if I say that, I can't do that, I'm left-handed. It's like, well, where does the power lie? The power lies in the fact of me being left-handed, as opposed to like any sort of deliberate action or thing that I can take into my own control. Like I can practice so much with my right hand that I become right-handed, and then therefore I make the left-handedness be non-existent. It's a framing technique is essentially what I'm trying to get at here. And I think that some of like the framing language that he was using is sort of like unempowering language, which I found to be, I guess, unusual, maybe a little, I don't know if hypocritical is the right word, but not really on brand for like Richard Hart-esque sort of ideals or something. But I would encourage people, if you are not the way that you want to be, then try and find a way to frame in your own mind. You have to convince yourself first, kind of like what Tony Robbins was talking about in the that personal power or unlimited power book, is like you have to adopt the beliefs and the mindset of the people who are doing the thing that you want. So it's like, if I want to be a person who derives all of his self-satisfaction from the doting of others, then that's the thing that I need to focus on. And if I don't want that to be the case, then I need to take active steps towards not being that way. Now, if he's fine with that being the case, then it's like, cool. But it sounds to me like he's describing a problem that he has as a result of some sort of mindset that he did not put onto himself, which to me just sounds a little bit more disempowering than I would personally choose to roll with. But that's just some of my musings there. It's like, I'm always looking at the way that people say things and the way that people frame things, and where is the power, where is the salesmanship, where is the intentionality, like what's the rating score that I would give those things when I see people talk. So that's my go ahead.
I understand what you're saying 100%, but I think that he's agreeing with you. He's saying it's a personality flaw, and it's his biggest personality flaw, but it's also what drives him to be successful. And so on one side, yeah, it's a personality flaw, and who wants to act like this is, act like, let's be honest, weak, right? But in a sense, this weakness is also what gives him this strength, right? Because it is the sole thing that he cares about, which is successful products and making products that make people money, So I think it's a weakness and a strength, and as a lot of things can be. In this video, while I think overall a lot of people could say his demeanor was a little bit less enthusiastic than usual, I think there were some really, if you like I said, look at body language, look at cues, look at specific verbiage, there are some interesting takeaways. And I think the biggest one for me is, I don't care if people are selling for a day or a month or a year. There's only so much selling that can happen. And it's impossible for sellers to beat him in the long run. Now, that doesn't really help anyone until something actually happens, right? But he certainly sounds confident in that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, interesting video. I think it's a video that is very different than all of the videos that he's done in the past. And
I would agree.
Again, I do think that it's a bit more real, like you said, and we'll see what that leads to, right? But it was interesting. And I think a video is like just under 30 minutes. I think his last Christmas video was close to an hour. So also much shorter this time than previous Christmas video. Now, he had put out one other video not that long ago, right? Or maybe over the summer. I don't know. He put another video in the middle of the year at some point. So this wasn't the only video he had put out in 2 years like it was last Christmas. Nonetheless, we shall see. We shall see what happens. And number goes up when people buy. Number goes down when people sell.
I agree. Number does do those things. Hopefully more buyers than sellers in the near future. I suppose we'll find out.
I've highlighted that. I mean, I kind of showed a lot of the comments in regards to the video as people were putting them up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to do a round of chat shout outs. Anything else you have want to share before we do that?
No, I'm pretty good. I've shared pretty much all my thoughts. Let's see what the folks have to say.
All right. Let me just get through here. Get a few more. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. I like that one.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Start. First up, we have, first should be last should be first. Jemmy coming in saying, hello, D-Gens. Hello, Jemmy. Great to see you.
Oh, hot Jemmy.
Moondog from our previous conversation said, I heard vampires were hoarding silver for upcoming war with the werewolves. Or maybe that was a fever dream I had when I fell asleep to some hot Kate Beckinsale movie. Cheers. Moonmutt, hello, my DJ Jerns.
Cheers to that.
I mean, friends. Cheers, cheers. Wank Fright? Is that Frank White? I'm confused. Bang, bang, DJ Gang.
Yeah, YouTube's showing the actual name URLs, not the what it's supposed to show.
I know, but now I don't know if someone's fake name or real one, right? Happy New Year.
We could presume it's probably Frank White.
Yeah. Happy New Year to you. Happy almost New Year to you as well, Frank. Moondog says, no trick-or-treating for Beans kids? Don't take candy from strangers. Get back to the mine. No, you can trick-or-treat. That's perfectly acceptable. My book, as long as we keep All Hallows Eve into what it was always meant to be. Eddie says, my wife said no to creating an OnlyFails account to market Pulse Chain. Ah, darn. Enjoy Dub says,
there you go.
Richard Hart lost influence over the community being gone so long, allowed for the dumb ass PDI narrative and a bunch of other scamming stuff to take over. Everybody was on the same page last cycle with Hex.
Yes, he has been absent.
Don't disagree with you there. I think his absence was unfortunately for a reason. And I think it's still for a reason. We'll see if that ever gets cleared up. But I think that it wouldn't take long for things to get back into moving in a cohesive forward effort if he was able to start streaming regular again. By the way, if he even wants to start streaming regular again. I know that he can't right now. Like, he's kind of pretty much said that. But if he ever could, would he? Does he even want to again? I don't know. I would say if it would make his product successful, then he probably would. That would be my guess.
Yeah. I do think that when he addresses the complaint of like people saying he's not there, I think that he's addressing the wrong interpretation of that complaint. Like when Hex was launched, he was directing the flow, and it was volume of leadership. It wasn't like one pinpoint tweet of leadership, it was like continuous, reoccurring, readdressing, taking on problems. Like, it was immersion leadership. It wasn't like hands-off leadership, which is what he's moved into now, which is much less successful than his first methodology. And I'll also say that, like, irrespective of what the reasons are to his decision making, the thing that I measure is the results of what I presume to be the decision making. And the results are, we've got a whole bunch of sheep just wandering around stabbing each other, instead of like one shepherd constantly like reaching out with his stick and pulling the strays back towards the center of the flock, sort of thing. So just speaking from like a leadership perspective, that's my quick little analysis there.
Yep. So we'll see what happens if that changes in the future.
Yeah.
Jemmy says, I think you'll be able to use both hands equally, i.e. ambidextrous.
Yes.
Good luck with it.
Back when I was talking about,
be forever in your favor.
I am indeed ambidextrous. I do use both. I'm like power right-handed and like delicate left-handed. I write and do things with my left, and then I like swing and shoot and chop with my right hand. So I am like half ambidextrous.
Nice. Very interesting. Jemmy says, we need to be mindful that we have different personality types. I mean, that's true, right?
That's true.
That's a very important aspect when you're trying to consider what someone's saying and their mental state, right? And also when you're reading between the lines of people. Like, I'm generally a positive person, right? I lean positive, and I think that helps me mentally, emotionally, and not everybody has that. So, and then last but not least, we have Old Man Jenkins saying, "Sup, gents?" Sup, Old Man Jenkins. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, Jenkins?
Moondog says, people assume Richard Hart is absent for reasons, quote unquote, read excuses. I personally think those reasons are convenient excuse for not knowing where he wants to lead people.
Yep.
I mean, I disagree personally.
It's my thoughts.
I disagree personally, which is perfectly acceptable. No issue disagreeing there. But I just, if you have an issue with the SEC, having been around enough lawyers in my life, your legal counsel is going to tell you to shut the fuck up, essentially, right? And then internationally, if you're dealing with a wanted notice and they can literally come after you in almost any country in the world, well, hard to stream regularly when it's much easier to pinpoint somebody if they wanted to that way. Now, look, are there other reasons in addition to those reasons, Moondog? I don't doubt it at all, right? I think there's a multitude of reasons. I think those reasons are valid reasons. I think there are other reasons potentially driving it at it as well. So we shall see. But I think it's 10 o'clock, so I think about time to wrap up here.
Yeah.
What you got, Will?
Oh, I've crossed over into New Jersey, so you folks can find me in the New York metropolitan area for the relatively near future. I don't know, maybe a week or something like that, a little more, a little less. I got no clue. Then after that, I'm going to head up to New Hampshire and fuck around there for a little bit. And then after that, who knows? Maybe I'll get activated and go back to work. Maybe I'll head back to Texas. Probably the thing that I think I'm going to do is head back to Texas because warmer down there. There is a, excuse me. I went from 70 degree morning to now there's snow on the ground just by traversing the U.S. today, and boy howdy, what a difference. So it's always amusing jumping between not only time zones but also like temperature zones. So super cool. That's what I've got going on. Folks at home, you guys can find me and all my stuff at will.pls.fyi, and that's it. I don't know of any news things for the DGen Roundtable that merit a shouting outing, but that's what I got. Brendan, what about you, broski? Where can the folks find you? What you got going on?
Well, before I tell you that, we have Wes checking in, saying good afternoon with a nice super chat. Good afternoon, DGen gang, doing the God's work. Thank you, Wes. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you for the super chat, and
that's awesome.
Thank you for your support. And one last thing before, just because I think this is pertinent, Moondog, I know all about attorneys and everyone telling me to STFU. Under worse potential penalties than Richie, his behavior remains inexcusable by that metric to me. His fragmentation is too deep. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I'm just saying you have to take both things into consideration.
Yeah, I take it into consideration, and I'm inclined to agree with Moondog in principle, if not in like specifics. So, yeah, I would look at the results more so than the reasons. I think the reasons are irrelevant. I think that the purpose of a thing is what it does, and so if Richard does a whole bunch of nothing and does a whole bunch of talking, it doesn't matter what he means to do. It doesn't matter what he wants to do. It's like, what are you doing, and what is the result of the doings? You know, if by my inaction I cause a whole bunch of death, then I cause a whole bunch of death. Not necessarily because I want to cause a whole bunch of death, but just that's the result of like how things work. So I'm a big believer that the purpose of a thing is the product that it turns out. And so when you look at the product that is Pulse Chain, and you look at the product that is the actions that people take, including Richard, then it's like we find ourselves where we're at. So that's my 2 cents. But anyways, we've been beating this dead horse for quite a while.
Well, you can find me in our Telegram channel, which is up at the top right hand corner, QR code. You can join it. It's free, doesn't cost any money, and there's some great content in there. You can also find me on x.com/anonymous_bean, which I have just put into the chat. And honestly, appreciate everybody's time tonight. The Christmas season, I know everyone's busy, family, friends, a lot going on. And we will let you know if we're going to do a short New Year's Eve stream on Wednesday. That might be the case, but it might not. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. So Will and I and Zenith will have a conversation and we will get back to you. But in the meantime, I want to thank you for spending your time with us tonight. The markets are unpredictable and ever-changing, but we do our best to keep you up to date on all things that affect our cryptocurrency interests. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to spend your time with us. As Agent J always says, your time is your most valuable asset. And we appreciate you spending some of your time with us. Mr. Producer, which is me tonight, get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind the DGens and the DGenites to always DGen responsibly. Wait a second.
You got it. I believe in you.